Welcome to another episode of the Blueprint Podcast. We are here to help you grow your faith and your business and help you be all that God has called you to be. And today we are talking real estate. And I actually haven't told you guys this, but I'm actually in the process of getting my real estate license. And so I've been in real estate on the marketing side for about 3 to 5 years now. I'm working at Compass and then also working with some smaller brokerages here in Houston. I've also done some real estate deals, like on the investing side. So I've done 2 multifamily deals and also have purchased 2 homes for myself. So I've been in real estate. I know the industry. And honestly, the crazy thing is, actually, when I moved to Houston, my plan was to work in marketing, learn the Houston market, and then go into real estate, right? Well, while I was working there, I realized being a real estate agent is actually really hard. It's not as easy as people think. So I was like, nah, screw that. I'm going to stay on the marketing side. But over time, I've really realized, being an entrepreneur the last 2 years, I realized it's really kind of all the same, right? In terms of the things that you do to grow a business, whether you're in real estate, marketing, we have a restaurant, a lot of those things are all the same. And so I'm I think I can do this. And so I'm getting my real estate license. And the key to being a good real estate agent or realtor or whatever is to have really great lending partners, right? That's a super important piece of having great relationships. So today I have my friend Josh David. He is a mortgage lender with CTC Mortgage.
Yes, sir.
And reached out to some friends of mine. I was like, hey, who are y'all using in the industry? Got referred to him. And so we had a great conversation the other day. This was got a great energy, great synergy in terms of what God's doing in our life, how we want to grow our businesses, how we approach family. And so I was like, bro, let's do a podcast episode. And so in this episode, you're going to get a 90-day game plan, a sneaky good game plan to being able to buy a house or just understand mortgage and real estate better. So my goal is for you, if you are watching this episode, is that after you finish, that you are going to feel good about buying a house if you haven't already bought one. So, welcome to the Blueprint Podcast again. Let's get started. Josh, first off, welcome to the Blueprint Podcast.
Hey, I am honored to be here, man.
Yeah, this is going to be a great convo. Yeah,
I'm excited. Let's do it.
Let's do it, man. Well, first off, congratulations on interest rates dropping. I know everybody's been talking about that for the last 2 years, and y'all finally got a little bit of a drop. So I don't know, has that affected your business at all?
Yeah, my phone's been, I think I just missed one. But yeah, it's been a blessing, and people are like, hey, so
what's going on?
Can we do something? I'm like, hey, if the numbers make sense, let's do it. If not, let's wait a little bit longer. But a lot of those people are starting to do some stuff, especially if they're doing a governmental loan,
those FHA loans are looking good right now.
Ooh, we started seeing a 5 or maybe a high 4.
Yeah,
I'm like, let's drop that 7 to a 4.9. Why not?
Okay. So we'll get more into that. But why don't you introduce yourself? Tell the people who you are, how you got into business, what you do, and then we'll keep going.
Okay. Well, hey. My name is Josh David. A lot of my friends call me JD. Long story short, I went to church. A lot of Joshes, Joshuas, Yeshuas. They all sound the same. Yeah. They started giving nicknames out. It's like Cool Josh, Drum Josh, Guitar Josh. And I'm sensitive. So before they gave me a nickname, I'm like, JD.
Yeah.
So, but hey, my name's JD. I'm in the mortgage industry. I've been doing this for a little over half a decade. Okay. So I'm on year 6 as a month, next month. Okay. So nice. September. So I love it. I enjoy it. I'm a brown dude. I'm South Asian. So what I thought I was going to do is going to be doctor, lawyer, engineer, then give up and do IT. It's one of those 4 things you see people like me do. But actually, my dad, who's the one who got me into the mortgages, he was a business analyst over there. Okay. He was like, hey, just come on in, figure out what you want to do. And this is after I finished my first degree. Okay. And he was like, hey, just come on in. And I was like, this ain't doctor, lawyer, engineer. You sure? And he was like, yeah, just do it. You'll figure out life. You're a hard worker. You'll figure it out. Okay. And by God's grace, 6 years later, he was exactly right. I met the right people at the right time. And and I even did another degree because I didn't think I would do it. But after finishing that second degree, I'm like, there's no way I could go back to 9 to 5. No way.
That was an expensive experiment.
Oh, yeah. So I got 2 fancy pieces of paper on my wall that I look at. I'm like, okay. But I enjoy what I do because it's cliche and every lender is going to say it and I say it too, but it's true. Yeah. Everybody's situation is different. Not everybody's going to fit in grade a loan A, B, and C the same way every time. Everybody has a weird scenario, and that's why I like being a broker because we partner up with 50 to 75 different banks every month. Yeah, absolutely. Chances are there is a solution. We just got to find it.
Yeah, which that was gonna be my next question is kind of what's the difference between you as a mortgage broker and maybe going to a bank or the Rocket Mortgages of the world or the online mortgage mortgages world where you can just type in, get qualified, pre-qualified online, even talk to a human. Like, I guess what is the value of going to someone like yourself opposed to those other options?
So I've been on both sides. So I've been a retail lender and I'm currently a mortgage broker. So I've been on both sides. I get it. I like giving analogies. Let's say I am, as a retail lender, I am only Best Buy. You want to buy a TV, but I only have 5 different TV brands and they're all at the same cost. And they probably are a little overpriced because I got it from the distributor. But as a broker, I'm like the Amazon. So I got hooked up to Costco. I got hooked up to Walmart. I got hooked up to Best Buy too, Target. Like, I got hooked up to all of them. So I got probably 40, 50 different TVs for you to look at. And they're not overpriced. Okay. So I got more options to look at. And it's directly to you. It's quick. Amazon's quicker. Most of the time it's cheaper in some cases. Sometimes not. But 9 times out of 10, it is cheaper. Okay. More convenient, quicker,
So talk about that, because I think you were showing me some numbers before we started the episode in terms of how you have more flexibility in terms of your fees and kind of the way you guys get paid. So, I mean, you made a breakdown where essentially, like, I mean, there's sometimes a difference of like $5,000 to $6,000 that a person can get on their loan, depending on the situation, working with you opposed to another product. So, like, how are you able to do that? Because I know you guys got to make money too. So, like, what's the shakeup? What's the real behind all that?
Well, hey, long story short, it's just less overhead fees, right? Yeah. So between bank A and bank A and being a broker, like bank A, there's overhead fees. Somebody has to pay for that building. Somebody got to pay for all the technology in there. Somebody has to pay for the benefits that the bankers get. Yeah. Right. And sometimes they have to place their own origination fee on it too. Okay. So that's how they package it. And it's more expensive, right? Yeah. Long story short, everybody's in a business. They have to make money somewhere, right? But as a broker, there's no overhead fees. Like, I don't have to package in my building fee, my electricity fee, my benefit. Like, I don't have to package it.
It's just it would be just your commission.
It's just my commission. Yeah. So, in 99 times out of 100, those banks that I'm working with, they're paying me my commission on the side, right? Okay. It's outside of it, right? Yeah. So it's going to be direct. You're going to see in black and white how much they're paying me. They're paying me my finder's fee. Yeah. We pick the bank that my client wants to go with. Great. And I do the whole loan through that banking's portal. And they see where my fee is. They see where the banks are paying me. So it's black and white. It's not, but as more than you have to pay, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. I love that, man. Okay, so what do you think is, because you're doing, you're looking at people's finances all the time. You're talking to people constantly. Like, what is one of the number one reasons people can't buy a house that maybe want to, and this kind of economic environment we're in right now?
Gotcha. Let me give you the answer that people want to hear.
Okay.
And let me give you the answer that people need to hear.
Okay.
Because everybody is going to be like, oh, rates are high. Pricing of homes are high. Inflation's high. Something. They want to blame something, which is fine because, hey, those things are valid. Those are happening. Right. But the one thing that's constant is you, right? You know what you're spending your money on. Okay. You know what decisions you're making. Yeah. You know that car payment probably shouldn't be the car payment you're going to say yes to. Yeah. So 9 times out of 10, or I'm always saying 9 times out of 100, it's usually the biggest issues are decisions that we made ourselves.
Okay, so like a car payment type situation, right? Yeah. Like, I can imagine that's a big one because, you got a 6-figure job, you're making a little bit of money, you're like, oh, okay, let me go get that, like, that brand new car, and maybe you can afford it, but maybe that messes up your DTI. Maybe you have student loans, the car payment. So a lot of times I've seen a lot of people who actually make really good money still can't afford to buy a house, and you're like, how is that? Like, you make $15,000 a month. Like, how can you not afford to buy a house? And it's like, you think about lifestyle, right? You think about, okay, you got a boat, a car, a thing, and you can kind of add all these things. And so that's something that I've just seen, just from my own people in my own sphere of influence, right? And just kind of understanding where people are spending their money, and, past coworkers. I had a friend who, like, we made the same amount of money roughly, but, like, her car payment was like $800 and mine was like $200. And not to talk down on anybody, but it's like, okay, well, that just is like a reality. It's like, you got to understand what kind of lifestyle do you want.
Yeah. Right? And I'm driving my Toyota Camry just fine. And like, I get it. Yeah. It's cool to have that nice car. Like, I got that feeling when I first got my job, and I was driving 98 Corolla for a while, but I was like, ooh, I do need something. But I was like, ooh, those Lexuses, BMWs, those are nice, but I can't drop $800, $900 for a car, and especially with the income I was making at the time, it just made no sense. So I'm like, let me just get a Toyota Camry, runs just fine. It's going to outlast their BMWs anyway. So, and the crazy part is, if you got $1,000 car payment, that's almost $100,000 value of the home you're missing out on. Wow. $1,000 car payment. And I'm like, that's the difference between someone getting pre-approved for a $300,000 home and like a $400,000 home. Okay. And I don't know about you, but I might want that extra room or that cooler neighborhood or closer to the highway. Well, I'd rather have ease of life, better area, bigger home than the fancier car, right? The fancier car will come later.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of, yes, understanding your priorities. You know, one of my mentors told me the other day, you got to think about your 1, 3, and 5 year plan, and you got to make every decision that checks the boxes of where you want to be in your life.
That's good.
So if you think about where you want to be at in 5 years, if you want to be a homeowner, the decisions you make at year 1 and year 3 need to line up for that, right? Or you're like, hey, listen, I want to buy a house next year. Okay, what are the things that I want to do? But also, I want to buy a house right now, but also what am I going to do with that house in 5 years? Because that will tell you what you want to do with that house, right? And so really being able to kind of actually think through that. And when we were talking, you said typically you talk to an agent and, we've seen all the videos. So 3 things you need to do to buy a house, right? And it's like, first talk to a lender. Then talk to your, talk to your agent. And then like all the different things. You said that they should first talk to a financial advisor. So explain why you think that.
Some people are going to hate me, but that's fine. Like, hate me if you want. But in this world right now, everybody's talking to a realtor first, then a loan officer, then a financial advisor, which is fine. I'm not going to say no to that because I'm grateful for all my realtor partners for sending me clients. I'm super grateful for it. I'm not going to say stop doing that. But in my world, it makes life easier for my realtor partners if they talk to a financial advisor first. Then they talk to me. Then they talk to a realtor. Because at that point, if they went through them and me, or even just me, 9 times out of 10, they're ready to go get that home in 30 days. Most of the clients, when they find out, oh, shoot, that's on my credit report, you know, then I got to tell the realtor, I'm like, hey, I know you've been showing homes for the last 30, 60, maybe 90 days. But your client ain't getting a home this quick. We need to put them on a 3 to 6 month game plan. So that's
what are some of the questions you should ask your financial advisor if, you are taking our advice and like, okay, let me talk to them first to get a game plan for my financial, history, my financial plan, and then my lender. So like, what are some of the things they should be asking or like looking at in terms of, their financial situation?
Oh, that's a good question. So with my financial advisors, I usually just let them handle everything. So from what I've seen and how they do it, they just talk to the client. They ask for all the income or all the information with their bank statements, their income, all their assets, just to make sure, hey, they see the picture. And they ask the client, hey, what are your goals? What do you want to do in 5 years? Kind of like what your coach told you, your 1, 3, and 5. They're like, hey, what's your game plan at year 10? Are you going to have a family, XYZ? How much do you want to have to live XYZ lifestyle? Then they create that game plan for you according to what you want. And they give you a legit, easy, attainable game plan to do it. Or, hey, they're like, if you want to do this, we got to fix XYZ right now in order to attain this. But if you want to continue living at this point, we'll get you to this point. Is this where you want to be? Or do you want to be here? Or do you want to be here? Or, hey, you can still do life here just fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Just make sure whatever you're doing is going to get you your goal. They do a good job of like understanding where they're at in life, understanding where they want to be at life, and getting them from point A to point B, and giving them legit advice on what to do, how to manage it, and they just make it a lot easier.
And
like, that's what they're there for. They're licensed for a reason. They're the experts. Trust them.
I'll give you guys just even a personal example. So me and my wife bought a house last year, I guess December of 2023. We're in 2024. I don't know when you're watching this, but we actually did that, and we didn't do it intentionally. Like, we already had a financial advisor, and so we just kind of check in with him, every couple of months, every 6 months, we're kind of having conversations with him. And so we had talked to him when we first got married, and then kind of maybe a year after that, and we kind of told him, hey, we want to buy a house eventually, and we kind of talked through a game plan, right? And he gave us a game plan for, hey, here's how much you need to start making or putting aside for retirement. And he showed us the gap of like, hey, here's how much you actually need to be making at these points in your life to be able to actually retire, right? And that was really scary, right? To look at it and be like, dang, we are not ready, right? You know what I mean? Obviously, we're like in our early, we were in our late 20s at the time, early 30s, but to be able to have that number, like, hey, we need to be planning. We need to make sure we have insurance. We need to make sure we're putting, things in our IRA, Roth IRAs, in our retirement.
That's a lot.
Making sure those things are top of mind, because I don't want to be like a broke 70-year-old or 80-year-old and not be ready to retire, right? And then it was so funny because he actually told us, in this economy, he was like, I don't think you guys should buy a house right now. I think you guys should prioritize cash right now. You want to be cash food in this economy, right? Which I think is really good advice. But we had our 1, 3, and 5 year plan, and we knew what we wanted to do on a personal level. and I want to build a real estate portfolio, right? And so I had sold my duplex in another city, and basically that was the cash we were going to use to buy a house here and, pay off some debt and some things like that. And so I actually had a game plan where I'm like, hey, listen, we're going to actually take a risk right now in an economy where we need to have cash, but we're going to like put that cash in an illiquid asset, which is buying a home. Like you can't just pull cash out of your home.
It's not easy. It's not cheap.
But we knew like, hey, we're both like growing in our careers. We're going to make more money in the next 3 years that we feel like, okay, like, hey, we have enough savings so we feel like, okay, we can get through this kind of tough season right now where we're going to need to have cash, but we'll still get there. We were only able to make that decision because we had talked through it, right? And when it was time for us to buy a house, we knew exactly what we wanted. We knew what we could afford. We like literally bought a car cash to keep our DTI low, right? And like most people don't really think about that. And we're like, okay, that we technically could have this cash. We're like, hey, we need to have a lower DTI. I'm an entrepreneur on 1099. She's W2. There was like all these things that we talked through that we were able to actually have a game plan, right? And so then we looked for a house for 2 weeks. Literally, bro. We got it. We had our agent sign the buyer agreement, and then in 2 weeks we did like one showing. The next showing we like saw the house we were gonna buy and bought it, and we were off to the races, right?
Didn't that make your life so much easier?
So much easier, right? Because I'm like, already we knew what we wanted, and we didn't even buy at the top of our budget. Like we bought toward the bottom of our budget, just because I was like, well, yeah, we could afford a higher, more expensive house in a better neighborhood, but I was like at the same time, like our lifestyle doesn't necessarily warrant that. Like we don't need to just spend just to flex on people and like, oh, look where we live. Like
you're not keeping up with the Joneses or something. Like what's the point?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I know you also bought a house recently as well. Like what was your thought process behind why you were buying a house?
Oh man. Well shoot. So our first home we bought was 2022, but then we just bought a home a couple months ago. But honestly, we were just sick and tired of renting. Yeah. And it just made no sense where we're paying the landlord XYZ amount. And once you leave, and with our game plan at that time, it did make sense to rent. Yeah. But most people renting doesn't make sense. But again, I always tell people, hey, if you're gonna rent, either we're not too confident in the stability of our job, or hey, you don't think you're gonna stay there too long. Like if you're not gonna stay there, I think the break-even point for where renting makes more sense than buying the home is about 18 to 22 months, so about 2-year mark. So if you're not gonna be in that home for 2 years, probably doesn't make sense. Yeah. Because with all the money you're paying for closing costs and all that, putting the down payment when you sell the home, because you got to pay your realtors, you got to pay title fees and all that, payoff fees. Some people are underwater and they're bringing money cash to close. And I'm like, wait, you're selling your home and you're bringing money cash to close? That makes no sense. Yeah. Don't do it, And again, talk to your realtor, talk to your loan officer if it makes sense to even buy the home at that time. But for us, we were like, hey, we're looking at homes. We're looking at the cost of rent. I'm like, we could get this home for the same payment. And we can still make ends meet. We're not overspending our budget. And it just made sense. Okay. And we knew what our goal was, right? We want our first home to be a rental home. That way we could use that money to pay off or help afford our dream home, right? That way we could leverage it to get the next home. And of course, there's ways of doing that. Talk to your loan officer on how you can use rental income to add to your next loan. And voila, we got the home that we wanted. And our first home wasn't our forever home. Yeah. And that's what we realized. And that's why we were okay getting a home that was under our budget before we get the home that was, hey, this is closer to what we want. It's just cool to know that, hey, the money we're putting in, we're going to get back at some point. Because especially around the U.S., homes are appreciating anywhere from 3 to about 8-9% on average. Right. But in Texas, it's a little closer to 4 to a little bit closer to 5. But even if we are being conservative at 3%, $300,000 home next year is worth 309. Yeah. Then you keep on doing it. Yeah. And over time, you're going to have that much equity in your home. So if you sell it, that's liquid cash in your pocket, or you can leverage it to buy your next home. Yeah, and those capital gains. But I mean, if you're in there for more than 2 years, you don't have to worry about the capital gains anyway. Yeah. But okay, talk about what's something you would change about the mortgage industry, because like I said in my intro, I've bought and sold a couple real estate properties, and I have been unlucky and just had really bad transactions. I mean, there's just been like title insurance problems, it's just been like, it was a nightmare on the 2 of the deals. Right. And so like, I saw a lot of things. I was like, man, I wish I could change that. I wish I could change that. But you, like, what do you think? Like, what's the impact you want to make in the industry and change, or something that you currently see and want to work to change? Ooh, that's a good question. I think, and let me know if I'm a little bit off the question from here. But as loan officers and realtors, we need to be better when it comes to giving better expectations to the clients. Okay. We need to give them, here are all the 30 steps of buying a home.
Mm-hmm.
Here's all the 30 steps of doing a loan. Mm-hmm. This is what we're going to do together on steps 1 through 15.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to do steps 15 through 18 this way.
Yeah.
We're going to have to do all of this. Like, we just need to do a better job explaining it, painting a better picture, and holding their hand. Mm-hmm. I think the biggest complaints clients get, or people say, is like, well, my loan officer never calls me. My realtor never calls me.
Yeah.
The second the realtor got that contract signed, poof.
Yeah.
The second the loan officer got the loan disclosed, poof. Mm-hmm. And they're not hearing from us. And they feel like, what the heck? Yeah. You know, like, where you at? Yeah. And what me and my team do, we do 2-minute Tuesday status updates just for 2 minutes a day. And we're not calling them every day to update, but they feel so good knowing that we call them once a week. Mm-hmm. I call them personally once a week. And my loan officer, they're messaging emails every other day. So they're getting some type of feedback from one of us. Right. And everybody just feels more involved. And they just enjoy the process more.
I'll add my opinion in terms of just the deals I've been a part of. I really want a more personalized approach to like the whole process, right? I really want to feel like, okay, there's a team working on my behalf. And I'm not just like working with my lender here, my agent here. Like, I really want to feel like, okay, there's a team who's working on behalf of me and everyone's communicating together. Mm-hmm. There's transparency. Agent can't tell me, hey, this is what you should sell your house for. Like, they can give me a recommendation, but they can't tell me. Like, I'm the one who makes the pick, right? Yeah, and or they can't tell me like, hey, this is the house you should buy. They can just show me a list of houses, give me the pros and cons. I wish that the agents and even lenders could be better at like coaching and advising along the process. Because obviously the decision is me, but I really want to be able to think through it better, right? Mm-hmm. And I've always felt like I've kind of gotten some high level advice, but like never like explaining in detail, helping really break it down. Maybe you feel like, okay, this person really understands what my goals are, really understands what I'm trying to do, and they're really breaking it down for me. That personalized, tailored approach, I think is something that I would love to see, especially I think specifically for lenders, because I think agents are a little bit closer to the client. So I think most good agents already do that. But I think from a lender perspective, I think I very rarely have seen a lender that's like hands-on, right? They're typically like, hey, they're there if you got to call them, you have questions. They're giving you updates, but like, you're not really like, okay, this person's on my team too, right? It's kind of like, hey, they're just the person getting me the money, right? So that's something that I would love to see change and see more people really approach it with that perspective. I don't know, what are your thoughts on that?
No, and Mike, and again, if you don't have a coach, hire a coach. I've been part of coaching programs for the last couple of years, and they changed how I do my business because I didn't realize better for a long time. And they're like, hey, you need to have a 30-minute consultation, go through the 3 pillars of financing, like understand their FICO, understand their income, understand their savings, see where they're at, see what their game plan is for the next 3 to 5 years, see what they want to do with the home. That way you can give them a better game plan and give them honest feedback. Right. So they told me I need to do that, and I need to do more Zoom calls. That way they see my screen. That breaks down the barrier between trust they might have already with me. So I like to do Zoom calls now or FaceTime. So I'm like, hey, I don't got makeup on, but let's FaceTime. Right. So they see I'm a human being. I care about them. And I talk about, hey, this is what I see. Here's my screen. Here's all the numbers. Right. Here's option A, B, C, and D according to what you told me you want to achieve. Option A is going to help you do this. Option B, it's a great option. Might not make too much sense, but hey, it is there just in case you don't want to fork over all your money. Option C is great. Oh, but you might be cash poor, right? But hey, you make your monthly payments. Again, with your jobs, it's stable. It might make sense. Or hey, you're an entrepreneur. You probably don't want to be cash poor. You probably want to have some cash in. And option D. So it's kind of like we're bringing it back to school, you know? Nobody likes filling the blanks, right? I like, anytime I saw a test, I want A, B, C, and D, E. That way I at least have one option. One option makes more sense, but if we present 4 options to them, we explain the pros and cons of each one, they're going to feel more educated and more empowered to make the right decision. Before, I'm like, I think I know what's best based off of it. Here's option A. And like, I'll still doing fine. It probably did make sense, but I never explained to them why it made sense. But now that I transitioned to giving 3-4 options, dude, they love it. They're like, oh, snap. And every now and then I'll see them, like my realtor would call me and say, hey, dude, they just loved whatever you did. What was your presentation? I'm like, wow. Okay, so if they liked it that much they told you, I need to keep doing that. So yes, it's more paperwork. Yes, it's more work, but it takes an extra 5-10 minutes. And that 10 extra minutes makes all the difference in their experience.
Perfect. So let's recap, because we started off the episode telling people like, hey, we're going to give you a game plan for how to buy a house. And in the next 90 days, here's what you should do. So we've talked about that, but I want to recap it just to make sure people got it in their heads. Okay. So let's kind of go back over that. So 1, we said talking to a financial advisor. Right?
That's going to make life easy for sure.
Getting your 1, 3, 5 year plan, understanding like what is it, the goals. What do you know, is buying a house now going to help you in 3 years? Or what kind of house should you buy? Like, hey, do you want to have a real estate portfolio? Okay, it might make sense to buy a house that makes sense as a rental, as your first house, instead of maybe your dream house. Maybe you don't care about investing and you're like, yo, we have the money now. The interest rate fits what we can do. Let's buy our forever home now. Like whatever, you know what I mean? You're going to have kids and you're planning on having a bunch of kids and back to back, then hey, it might make sense to go ahead and buy your big home now, right? So understanding what your 1-3-5 year plan is. Okay. We talked about like managing debt. So your car, you know, not buying the fanciest car on the market just because you can afford it. So thinking about, we talked about like your mindset, you know, you're not trying to keep up with the Joneses. So thinking about, should you buy a house in maybe a developing neighborhood that maybe is going to have more appreciation value and not necessarily buying in the sexiest neighborhood. But again, that's about your lifestyle. What do you care about? What's your 1-3-5 year plan?
What your goals are,
Do you want to have an apartment type lifestyle? Well, maybe it makes sense for you to buy a condo. You know what I mean? Because you still get the gym and the pool and the, you know, all the cool amenities.
Next to the city too. And you're
in the city. So it might make sense to buy a condo. Okay, do condos appreciate as much as houses? Maybe not, but maybe you don't care about that, right?
Yeah. So some people just don't care. They're like, let me live my life. Let me just do it. I'm like, great. If that's your choice, great. My job is just give you the best advice I can. And if you take it, great. If you don't,
if I was a young professional in maybe the medical field, and the sky is the limit for me, I would probably maybe make a decision like living in a condo or, you know, buying maybe, you know, a nice townhome early on because I know my earning potential is only going to go up. Like if you're in an industry like that, then it might make sense for you to just like live it up. Buy a house in your mid-20s or your early 30s and do the thing, right? But just understand what is the plan, right? And understand like, hey, how am I going to get my money out of this? How am I going to sell this house, right? That's really important. Talked about, you know, getting a good lender that's going to actually explain the process to you, build a tailored, specific relationship with you, right? So that like once you start the search, you don't have to spend 9 months looking for a house because you kind of already know. You really shouldn't.
It shouldn't.
Especially
That's a pregnancy. That's a pregnancy.
Yeah.
A whole baby's born in 9 months.
Yeah. So we're in the Houston market. There was a ton of new construction in Houston. There's a lot of activity. The market here is very stabilized to some degree because of our job market. Like there are good jobs in Houston. People in Houston are still hiring. There's good jobs here. So ideally, it's stabilized our economy. And so I think a lot of the things people see in the news aren't necessarily always true of the Houston market because like there's just, you know, I mean, you have a lot of options here and you even have there's a lot of affordable options. When we say affordable, I mean like, you know, like low 300s to high 200s. That's kind of like affordable in my mind.
There's so many. And people, and the thing is, people aren't willing to drive that extra 10 minutes from work for the affordable, which is fine. Like, if you want that closer drive, then hey, you might have to rent. But if you're cool with that extra 10 minutes, then get the home.
Yeah, exactly.
Leave earlier. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. So understanding those things, and then obviously getting a great realtor. I got you covered on that. Don't worry. Is there anything else that I missed in terms of, okay, if you're looking at the next 90 days, how much does the election impact, you know, where you think interest rates? Do you think that really is something people really should be thinking about? Or is that like kind of just like one of those things that it's a mental thing for people?
I don't know why everyone's like, this president's going to do this president. No matter what, like rates are going to be more lined up with the job. Like, and again, I'm not the biggest expert on it. I usually reach out to my boy Ernesto. He helps explain it to me, but it's not connected to the election. Like you're going to see the trends. It goes up and down, up and down.
Okay.
It's like whatever the job labor rates are, employment rates are, inflation rates are, it's more connected to that and the 10-year treasury rates. Right. So however those are going, that's how rates are going to be. And with how Jerome Powell's sharing the information, it's going to be more according to that. Yeah. And it's not dependent on the election.
Gotcha.
And in my opinion, again, I'm not the...
Yeah, and based on kind of what I'm seeing from, you know, Kamala or Trump, both of them seem to have housing as a high priority. So I genuinely feel like the next 4 years is going to be a positive environment for real estate. I think that, you know, housing and affordability is on people's minds. You know, at the topmost level of the government. So I genuinely feel like this is going to be a good time to buy a house. You know what I mean? And so it basically kind of just based on your situation, when does it make sense? I don't think it ever makes sense to try to wait for the best interest rate. I think you have to just go off the best situation because y'all can make it work based on what your payment. It's like going to the car lot to some degree. Yes. Like the car guy, whatever you need your payment to be, the guys at the car lot will make it happen.
Yes.
I promise you, they will make it happen.
They'll give you a 100-month game plan. Here's a 100-month car payment.
Exactly.
You want to have 200? Great. So it's up for 100 months.
Yeah. So these mortgage guys, they want the same thing. Now, obviously, there are different, like it's a little bit more stringent than getting a car. Yes.
There's laws and regulations. We have to do it legally. We have to do it right. And it has to be according to investors' guidelines. So we can't do stuff like that. But like I said, we have so many banks with so many different programs. There's going to be a way to make it work.
Oh, yeah. There totally is. There totally is. Okay. Anything else that I missed?
Man, you were on top of it. When it comes to a 90-day game plan, as long as you unfortunately, a lot of people come to me like, hey, I got 2 months left on my lease. And then they find out, it's kind of like going to a doctor's office. You're filling out that form. You think you're 200 pounds. You think you're 6 feet. But then once you step on the scale, you get measured, you're 5'8", and you're 240. So it's like, ooh, we're a little off. We're a little off, buddy. And usually people come to me like, dude, my lease is ending in 2 months. Can you help me? And I'm like, 9 times out of 10, it's a yes, but like, let's go through all your paperwork. You told me your credit's 700, it's a 600. We can still make it work. You told me you make $8,000 a month. It's more like $6,000 a month. We can still make it work. And you told me you got $5,000 and it's really $2,000. I'm like, okay, like here's the options we have. If you called me at that 6-month period that you know your lease is ending, I could have gave you a strict game plan of, hey, you just follow this, and 90 days before your lease ends, we can get you that home. Great. But the thing is, I think people reach out to you and meet too late, or they reach out to you probably 2 months before, like, yo, Michael, hey, my lease is ending. They're increasing rent. Let's go check out homes. And of course, my realtors, partners like you and everybody else, they get excited, and then they come to me and they're like, hey, they want to put an offer. I'm like, wait, they want to put an offer? We didn't even get them pre-approved. Like, let's go back. Let's get them pre-approved before we put the offer. That way you don't waste time. And I think people just hit up too last minute. So of course, 90 days minimum, right? But anything more than that's better.
Okay. Well, it's one thing that I think is also important. This is kind of some game that I think is going to be, like you said earlier, telling people what they want to hear and also what they need to hear. This is a need to hear thing, okay? So take this with a grain of salt, and depends on your financial situation. But if you are a DINK, which means dual income, no kids, which I'm very happily in that category right now. But I would challenge you to try to live off of one income. So if both people in the relationships have a stable job, pick the person who has the lowest income and try to build your lifestyle around that person, and use all the money from the second person's income to invest in your future, invest in the house. That's what me and my wife did for 2 years, and it freed up a lot of cash. Now, I will say, like, we weren't going on all the fanciest vacations. We didn't have the nicest cars, but like, we were able to have disposable income to be able to like buy a car cash and like invest in our future and our, our Roths, and like make all these moves that give us a really strong foundation. So again, it's why like it was like a 14-day process to find our house, because we like, yo, we came to the thing, like we were flexing. I'm like, yo, what do we want? This is what we want. Let's do it, right? And because we built our life that way. And I would say that this works no matter if you make $50K a year or you make $200K a year. Like you can figure this out. And again, that's why talking to a financial advisor makes sense. Talking through even a financial coach, somebody who's maybe not an advisor but can help you think through those things. Okay, how do I build a lifestyle in Houston making $60K a year? You can do it.
It's possible. It's very possible. And on top of what you said, like the lowest income and the most stable income, like whoever has that W-2 job that's gonna make that paycheck, they're fine. Dude, that's a game changer. And that's what me and my wife implemented on our first home. And that's the only reason we were able to afford our second home, was just, hey, we stuck to it. We're like, hey, all our expenses are near income, and since we're the entrepreneurs, some months are good, some months are bad. Exactly. So I'm like, let's not buy a home that's out of our budget. Let's just make sure it's on your income. We're fine. And God forbid that, hey, something happens to you and me, we can't do our business for a month or two. We're fine. Our wives are blessed with a good job. They're fine. We can make ends meet. We might be not eating a restaurant or two, but that's fine. We put it on that type of game plan, and we're fine. We're set around.
Exactly. What's your 1, 3, 5 year plan? Write it down. I have a spreadsheet where I wrote down my goals. I forget about the spreadsheet a lot. I'll go back to that spreadsheet like once a year, and it's crazy because I wrote it down and we've been hitting our goals every year. And there's only one goal that we haven't paid off my car. Okay, that's the one goal that we haven't paid off yet. And we just haven't got to it yet. But it's like, that's the one, but all the other goals are we've hit. And I'm like, wow, it's crazy. I wrote it down and we've just been working the process. You know what I mean? So that's another sneaky game plan. Living off of one income if you're in dual income. If you're single and living by yourself, like you can adopt that same thing and just find a way to find, okay, what's the minimum that I can live off of comfortably. I'm not telling you need to eat ramen, right?
You don't have to. You can still live comfortably. But I'm saying,
like, what's the minimum that you can live off of and still have a decent lifestyle and still save what you can. And so I think that'll really help. Okay, let's switch gears a little bit.
Let's do it.
So you have, which I think when it comes to building relationships, values is so important. And I'm on almost year 3 of full-time entrepreneurship. Integrity, humility, and hard work are just things that matter to me, right? And people who just execute. And it's like, I think it's so important. This is other thing though, generosity. And we talked, and you were talking about how it's your goal to be generous. And so talk about like how your faith and your values inform how you do business, because that was like a differentiator for me. I've never heard someone talk about generosity the way you did. And I was like, I trust that guy, because if that's the way he thinks about using his money, then like that means that's a value system that he has. So when we're trying to get a deal across, like, I know that there's integrity and there's a good heart there, right?
That means a lot.
Yeah. So I actually, and it's crazy that I made that connection based off of what you said about generosity. So I want people to hear kind of your heart about how you incorporate your faith in your business and generosity.
Gotcha. Well, hey, big shout out to one of my coaches back in the day, How Dang. He taught me a lot about, hey, care more, do more, give more.
Yeah.
And give more doesn't mean like, hey, I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. I love him. I'm not the best Christian, but I work on it, getting better every day, right? But a big part of it is tithing, whether you believe it or not. It's biblical to give 10%, right? And you know, our goal was to do 10%, and we're like, hey, if we're able to do more and give more, like, let's try to do it. It might hurt sometimes, but let's aim to do that. And me and my wife set a goal, and we were both very involved in college ministries. A lot of the ministers on campus, we didn't know at the time, but like, they had to fundraise for their support. And man, if you never fundraise and ask people to like put their finances to support you for a bigger mission, like, it's hard. Like, my respect is to them. I could not do it, let's be honest. And like, they're on the college campus sharing God's love and just who he is, and just being a source of light in a world that's dark. And that is so impactful. Like, they're doing a way better job than we can. And I'm like, versus me being one person to do that, like, I'm not the best speaker, or I'm not confident in it yet, but I'm like, ooh, like, I'm not the most well-versed in it, but like, if I could support these other people and help them not worry about their finances, and if I could just help them do it, we can have more people on the ground spreading God's name. And if I could figure out my lifestyle with business, I'm confident, hey, I can meet the right realtors, I can meet the right investors, I can build my business to a point, and me and my wife are still living off that income, keeping the same lifestyle, and be able to afford all our things without thinking twice. Like, why not support one more person? And they're gonna do way more than what we can. And like, and that's the same thing I think about tithing. Like, God's gonna do more with that 10% than me. Like, me saving that extra 10% ain't gonna do much. Honestly, I'm probably gonna spend on food. That's just me. I'm a foodie. Since I moved to Houston, I gained about 30 pounds. I'm working on it. But that 10%, like, the church is gonna do more with that than I can. Helping a college minister or campus or a pastor or whatever it might be, or a missionary, like, whatever it is, like, they're going to do so much good, and they're probably going to use that money, like, that's going to be stretched way more than I can. And if we can be a small part about helping them do it, because that next person might be whoever they're ministering to, might be the next Billy Graham or whoever, like, they might be the next person to really make an impact on this world. That one person that was having a rough day, they were able to prevent them from making a decision that might end their life. Like, they're going to have an impact on these people, and I'm going to have no idea until we all get in heaven. And I run into somebody like, hey, you did this, that did this, that did this, and that's going to be, that feels so good. You know, I'm not saying do it to feel good, but it's like, it's cool to see that, and seeing that, like, wow, like, even though I don't have this extra money in my bank, but if they're using it and it's helping them live their lifestyle, and they're able to do their job every day full, like, what's the term? Like, if they're happier, they're going to probably like work harder. And like, dude, if we could take off that stress off of them, why not? You know? So that's the goal. Like, every year I'm trying to add like one more or two more. Like, that's the goal.
That's so good. I love that. And I love that you want to keep doing more. I love that thought process. You know, my parents, I grew up watching my parents support missionaries, and like, my parents did not have a lot of extra money, and you know, we had like 5 kids, and my, you know, dad was a pastor, my mom didn't work, you know, I mean, she was, you know, was a stay-at-home mom, and they still found money to give to other people. So to me, I saw that, I'm like, if they can do it with what they had to work with, then like, I'm like, bro, it's nothing for, you know, it's nothing for me.
And the grand scheme of things, and
I think like your money, like, just I think money sometimes is the ego thing. Like, sometimes people just like looking at it in their bank account. And it's like, your money's supposed to be working for you. Like, you don't have money just to have it. And there's this Expedia commercial where it's like empires, prices rise and fall. And I love that commercial. It pops up on YouTube all the time for me, and y'all are probably gonna get it now too. Sorry.
The algorithm's listening.
The algorithm's listening. I just planted that ad on you, but like, you're gonna have money and you're not gonna have money. Like, there's just it's like, for me, the money is just like, you're gonna have it or you don't have it, or you're gonna have it and you might lose it. Like, there's just so many stories of people having money, not having, or not having money and getting money. It's just like, whatever, money is money. Like, you know what I mean?
It's a tool.
And so like, what do you do with it? Like, what are you doing with your money? And like, if your money is all about you, or your money is all about just like, oh yeah, I have this sitting in my account, or I'm doing this, like, to me, I just think like, what's the point? Like, you know what I mean? And so even with whatever little that you can give, I think about who can I give this to and what are they doing with it, right? So obviously tithing is super important and giving back to the church, but also thinking about like going above and beyond because there's a difference between tithe and offering. I think we got to remember that.
Yep.
Tithe is like the minimum. Like offering is like on top of the tithing. And I think a lot of times like, yo, I got my 10%, I'm good. My direct deposit, I'm good. Like, you know what I mean? I don't even think about my tithes anymore. It just comes out the account. Cool.
For the longest time,
Thanks,
I
Lord.
thought 10 was good. For the longest time, I was like, yeah, I'm good, God. Yeah. But then it's like,
yeah, I actually have a friend who he doesn't believe in direct deposit for your tithes. Like he believes in manually writing the check or putting the money or giving the money. Like that's, and I love that.
It's the act of feeling like you're actually giving it.
Yeah,
too. I bet.
Feel it a little bit when you're like, when it's direct deposit, you don't even think about it. When you gotta actually take it out the account, you're like, ooh, like, dang, can't go to August this weekend, babe. Like,
I love August, bro.
Same, but I think that's just so important, and I appreciate that you brought that up because that's important to me. Like, I want to be generous. I want to be able to like give away cars and bless people and do things that genuinely make the world a better place. And you know, we also support some missionaries. And I love seeing like the updates that I get from her in terms of like the people she's helping. And I'm like, wow, that's like, you know, think about the ripple effect. Like, okay, my life has impact on people that will never see me, never know me. And that is meaningful to me. That's why I want to live my life. I mean, because I don't want my life to just be about me. Like, I'm big on legacy. Like, I'm big on like, bro, like my insurance policy, like, I want, like, if I was to pass, like, I want my family, like, I want everybody to be taken care of, right? And that's, like, me thinking about the next generation. That's me thinking about the ripple effect of our lives. And so I think that also in terms of the house and the mortgage and those things, like, okay, how does your house fit into your plan of how you're going to bless people, right? And so, like, I mean, for us, like, I have taken ownership over our neighborhood. Like, I think I treat our neighborhood like Jericho, bro. Like, I walk around our neighborhood and I pray about it. And I'm like, not that I, like, want the neighborhood to fall down, but I'm like, this is my territory. Like, God has blessed us with this home. So, like, all of our neighbors, all this stuff, I have dominion over this neighborhood.
Yes, sir.
So, I'm walking around, I'm praying for my neighbors. If my neighbors are in eye distance of me, I'm saying something to them, right? You know, I've had some neighbors that are like, oh, God, he's going to talk to me, right?
Oh, they close that garage a little faster?
Yeah, and I'm like, yo, listen, like, obviously, like, some people don't want to talk, so I'm not going to force them to talk to me, right? But I'm just kind of like, yo, like, this is my dominion, and I feel like I want to be able to be a blessing and be like, hey, listen, like, God put us here. Like, like, literally, like, I think of our house as a lighthouse, right? And so I want to get, that's what my next painting, I want to have a lighthouse painting, just to be like, yo, this is the lighthouse, and we're just shining light on the whole neighborhood. Right? And so I just think about like those, that's also a reason why I'm like, that's why I love being a homeowner, because I just have that ability to have like, this is our stamp.
You live there, you have neighbors, and you're forced to live life together.
And it's like, it's different if it's a landlord. It's somebody else's house you're living in. Like, this is my house, and I'm establishing the culture here, and I'm the person who then like, gets to disseminate that to everyone around me. And that's my little tangent.
If more people had that mindset, imagine how much better our world would be.
Yeah.
If more people have that like sense of ownership on their home and their responsibility. Like,
and
we need more Michaels.
Yeah,
we need more Michaels, man. Shit.
Everybody talks about investing for generational wealth. Like, invest for like lifestyle. Like,
100%.
Invest for like the economy, like the spiritual economy of your neighborhood.
And it's not always finances, right? Yeah. Like what you said.
Absolutely. Okay, cool. So what's next for your business, man? Like, where are you going? What's the like what journey are you on with the business?
Oh man, it's kind of with what my coach has taught me: do more, care more, love more, like more, right? Like I want to do more. I want to help more. I want to work with more people. I want to build my team out. I want to build a team out, right? Yeah. Why not? You know, and that way it just keep the same standard across, right?
Bro,
that way
if I could have a team of 10 Joshes, sign me up, bro. Like what?
But hey, that's the game plan. We just want to do more, care more, and just be a bigger difference, and not just in the real estate world, but just in Houston. You know, like any way we can help other people. Like, what does Zig Ziglar say? You can have anything you want in life if you help others achieve. It's probably totally off, so forgive me. I've heard it so many times, but like, if we can help everybody get their goals, great. We have a better chance of getting to our goals.
Love it.
So we're partnering up with people who are like, hey, like you want to go grow your team of 20 to like 30 by the end of the year? Okay, let's host some events. Or hey, you want to build your real estate portfolio? Great. Or hey, you want to host a open house or like a little seminar? Like great. Like let me connect you with people that can help you out, or let me physically help you out. So we're just looking for more people that are like-minded, who are hustlers, who are working hard, right? Yeah. Like people who are full-time, like, dude, if you got a goal, let's achieve it. Like, I have accountability sheets. I like accountability. And I think that's a cool thing about coaching. Like, because all those things, we know what to do. Like, if you're in a gym, you know to eat better. You know to lift weights. But when you have that coach, they see your mistakes. They fine-tune it. And they're accountable with you, absolutely. Right? And for me, I like being accountability buddies with my partners. I'm like, hey, did you do your calls? Or, hey, are you doing your door knocking? Or, hey, did you do your reach outs? Or, hey, what are we doing to grow from XYZ to whatever, right? So really it's just finding more people who are like-minded, who want to grow together and who enjoy doing life together. Like people who see themselves doing this for the next 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
Because my goal is not to just grow my business, but like do life with them. Because like, hey, we're probably gonna play pickleball every now and then, or hey, my future kids will see, be like, hey, Uncle Michael, right? Like, I want to see that. Like, yeah, dude, me and Uncle Michael, we've done a podcast together, which is awesome. Which we're gonna talk about right now. So when he watches 10 years from now, you know we're talking about you. But also like, hey, we do business together. Hey, we help this one family in East Asia, or like whatever it might be. So it'd be cool to share those stories with our future kids. That way they can do the same or even better later on. And and like what you said, we're investing in them. So that's kind of my goal. And just working with other people who have similar mindsets, and even if they don't, but they do want to grow and they're hustlers and they have a good personality, let's work together. Why not?
Yeah, I love that. So you're continuing your lifestyle of investing by, I guess, investing in your real estate agent partners and your teams, and really just being able to help other people grow as well alongside you. So I love that, man. Okay, so new segment on the podcast. I saw this TikTok, bro. It's crazy. I've bought 2 things off TikTok Shop recently.
It's addicting.
Yeah, I'm like, ooh, I better not let this get too crazy. I'm gonna end up like my wife in Target. I'm gonna end up buying stuff off TikTok. But it's a game called Substance. Okay. And it has these like varying degrees of like these deep questions, right? And so I'm gonna read you 3 questions, and you get to pick the one that you want to answer, and I also have to answer it as well. So if it's like deep and you're like, yo, it's a hard question, then I also got to answer it. Okay. So, and if you're watching, I'm curious. I want you to guess and see which one you think he's gonna pick. Okay. So question A: if you could change one aspect of your life, what would it be? Okay. Got it. Question B: what's the one question you've always wanted an answer to? Okay. And then question 3: what is something you've done that would make your younger self proud? So, yeah. So A: if you could change one aspect of your life, what would it be? B: what's one question you've always wanted to answer to? And C: what is something you've done that would make your younger self proud?
Ooh, I'm a visual person, so can I look at those 3?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm a visual person, but like I heard it, they sound good. Ooh, these are 3 good ones, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Can I reveal it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. When you say it, whenever you're ready.
If you could change one aspect of your life, what would it be?
Okay. And
the cliche answer is I would not change anything because I wouldn't be who I am if I didn't do all those things, right?
Yeah.
Which, hey, that is a good answer. Nothing wrong with it. It's a little cliche, but it's true. I like that answer because I'm like, yeah, I shouldn't, because I wouldn't have gone this far in life without making mistakes, make the relationships I had with friends and family or whatever it is, because all those people are accumulation of where I am today, which is, that's true. But if I could change one thing, I think just having this better mindset earlier, hiring my coaches earlier, listening to people who are farther in life than me earlier, and listening to my parents a little bit better. Some of the stuff they said were right, like absolutely. When they said, hey, don't do that, or hey, pursue this, I'm like, okay, I see what they were saying because they see so much farther than I was. I was living day by day, but they're living decade by decade, right? Yeah. So they were having like a bigger plan for me. And these coaches, they want you to change your daily thinking to decade thinking. Like what's your game plan? And really, I just wish I said yes and I surrendered to what they were trying to help me achieve quicker, faster. And I just wish I was honestly just implementing what I learned quicker. Right? I get what's the saying? Paralysis by analysis. Yeah, and I know that was the case for me and a lot of other friends in the industry. It's just like you get so stuck on like, ooh, like let me just understand everything so quick or understand everything so when I do it, it's perfect. Yeah. And again, somebody's something is better than your nothing. Yeah. Right? Like somebody trying 1% of what they learn is going to be better than me trying to learn 100% and not doing anything. Yeah. And I get caught up in that and I realize, forget that. Yeah. Let me just start today. Let me get better today. Let me do that extra call. Let me listen to what my coach said. Okay, instead of me trying to do all 10 things perfect, let me just start with point 1. Yeah. Man, so
that's so good, bro.
I just wish, I just surrendered to the process and realized they do have my best. I forgot to say in English, but whatever it is. But they got my back.
I know you. I know as a brown kid, I know your parents would love to hear that.
Oh yeah, like, send it to them.
That's the dream. Of every brown parent. They're like, yes, my kid agrees with what I've been trying to tell them.
And they made sure I studied hard and worked hard. Again, I didn't make the best grades, but I did do well enough to achieve certain things. And I see how that translates to what I do in life. Like my study habits, like I wasn't the best school person, but like I had to study harder just to learn the stuff to get the grades my parents wanted to get. But by them forcing me to do that, I can now study and learn all the stuff I need to know now because I know how to study.
Okay.
And I know, okay, how much I need to do for me to understand it.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of stuff, like parents, 9 times out of 10, they know their stuff. Of course, that 1 time out of 10, they don't. But hey, they were just big kids raising little kids too. Okay. So they were growing too. But 9 times out of 10, they're probably right.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'll answer it real quick. I think for me, it was that I think what change in my life was a more positive outlook on myself. Like, I think I'm really hard on myself. And I think that there's a lot of insecurities and challenges that I put on myself from a mental standpoint that I think have held me back, in terms of, I believe in myself, but I think at the same time, I've always kind of doubted myself all at the same time. And so like, I would just change how I view myself because it would just give me so much more confidence. And I think I would make better decisions and believe in myself even better if I was able to kind of look at myself and things I've done and look at it with like a positive, like I'm like kind of always down on myself sometimes. And I think that's something that I'm working on, I'm cognitive of, but like if I could just change anything in my life, I think I would do that. And I think it would instantly improve my quality of life even more and allow me to even experience God's love better. I think that's tinted how I view God, as I think of God in a negative way, because I think of myself in a negative. So like, if I could switch that around and be able to see God better, see myself better, then I would totally take that. And so yeah, that's me.